Ave strategos, I'm Pericles and welcome back to the channel. So this week's topic on the temples guide is gonna be the Carthaginian temples. So folks, I know I have told that right after the Romans probably I will go with the Greeks. So I decided to keep the Greeks for a bit later. I mean when I mean the Greeks, like all the Greek culture, not only the Greek cities. So I decided to keep it for later and get the Carthaginian culture first. There is interesting thing about the Carthaginians. There is two basically factions that included to the Carthaginian culture. Carthage itself and the Numidia, that another African faction, and only these two factions are considered as a Carthaginian culture members. So, and the interesting thing, if you remember when we said all the Roman factions are the part of the Roman culture, but they all had different temples. Julia had different temples, Brutia had different, and Scipia had their own unique way temples. Um, where the Carthaginian factions, the both two nations, Numidia and the Carthage, they have the exact same um, temples basically and the exact same bonuses. So probably you won't be seeing another episode. That's where I'm talking about the Numidian temples because it's gonna be the exact same. I might try to find the differences. I'm gonna try to find if there's any Numidian unique points that they have. I might basically just give as a quick tip in the next episode. But rather than that, probably I'll make another basically temple guide for different culture. So when we said about the Romans that I said there was only the three Roman factions that they had the temples. There's actually five factions that shares the Roman culture. Julii, Brutii, and Scipii, they are obvious. Senate also is a Roman culture, but as you know, they don't have any temples and they are not a playable faction, but there's a ways to make them playable. Even they you do try to play with them, you're not gonna be able to build any temples, and the AI never builds any temples as well. They don't have any temple options. And also the rebels, like the slaves, they are also Roman culture, but they don't have any temples neither. I didn't know that since I checked it in the game files. I was always thinking that rebels are like unique because you always see different kind of rebels anywhere. So it means if the rebels hold a settlement, I guess they are building it in a Roman culture. That's what the game file says. So let's go ahead and jump to the Carthaginian, like Carthage temples. So like with the Romans, they have three temple options here, and the one point Roman temples they had pantheons in the fifth tier, but Carthage temples they the most you can get is the awesome level of temple, so which is the fourth tier. So it means even you have a huge city, you're not gonna be able to build bigger than awesome temple. So that's kind of a little bit restriction, a little bit downside. In that case, Roman and I believe and I'm sure that the Greek culture temples are has the pantheons as well. So they are a little bit basically has a disadvantage, but not like barbarians. A lot of barbarians has only like three tier at most. So the Carthage has four, and let's go ahead and start with the shrine to Tanit, like Temple of Tanit, which I built in Lilybaeum over here, as you see, in the second tier I built. And I did the exact same thing. If you're new to the series, never watched the previous episodes, what I do in here, I do usually leave a general or a family member in each settlement, and I am cleaning all of their traits and the followers by the help of the console command, so I can keep and show you easily that which traits, which followers, which bonuses at a certain level of the temples can get to you. So let's jump to the Shrine to Tanit. In the first tier, let's take a look. So in the first tier, Shrine to Tanit gives us 5% public order bonus due to happiness and population grow bonus per turn, 0.5%. and +1 farmland size. So this basically this branch, like the Tanit, is considered as a temple of farming, and in the first tier, as you see it, pretty similar like the bonuses. The agriculture one, like we had in the Julii, the temple of like shrine to Ceres. Not exactly the same thing, but there's some similarities, both as giving a public order bonus and a little bit populational growth bonus. I think the Ceres didn't have that, but Tanit has extra increased farmland size. It means that's extra tax, extra income. So pretty decent start at the first tier, and very decent building to keep your basically settlement in a decent public order, in a good happiness, and a bit of populational growth bonus and some extra income. That's good. And the only trait that actually we are getting with the help of this building is for our merchant. So don't mind those. I'll come to them. The guy had the mercantile genius already with him. I couldn't clear this trait. If anybody knows, I'm always struggling with the merchants. If anybody knows how to use the console commands with the merchants, that would be great if you would let me know. So when I basically recruited this guy, he had this already, so this bonus is not related with the shrine to Tanit or anything else at all. So I just ignored it. Same for this one. So we'll skip that for now. I'll come back to it. That's the trait I'm talking about. Devotion to farming. It means +1 finance when trading agricultural goods, -1 when trading marble. So this devotion, how it works, I already did explain in the previous episodes how the devotions works, but I'll do it once more. So let's say you built a first tier of shrine to Tanit in any of your settlement, which in my case is a Lilybaeum, correct? And let's say I have my merchant that ends the turn in this settlement. So if he's in that settlement where I have this building at least, or higher tiers, but you have to have at least the first tier. Once you end the turn while you're a merchant in it, the next turn your merchant will get this trait with 100% chance. There is no way that he doesn't get it. Actually, there's a way. The only way he doesn't get it if he has another devotion, like devotion to not to farming, but he can have devotion to whatever, let's say healing, for example. If he has another kind of basically devotion, he won't be able to get devotion to farming. So each merchant can have one devotion to certain ideology, I would say. So yeah, that's how it works. So with 100% chance you will be getting that. And there's not too much in the first tier of shrine to Tanit that might grant us. Let's jump to the second tier. Temple of Tanit. Public order bonus goes up to 10% from 5. Populational growth bonus goes up to 1% from 0.5, and the farmland size goes up to +2 from +1. So we're seeing double increase in all the stats. Is a decent increase. Everything goes in order. Everything looks decent for a settlement. You grow them a bit, you public order, and a little bit income. So that's good stats. Now let's jump to see what kind of traits or followers we can get after building Temple of Tanit. So now we're gonna look at to our general or family member. So the very first trait that and the only trait I would say the Temple of Tanit and buildings higher that grants us is a trait over here, grower. It is called a good farmer in the game files. So it gives us +1 farming output, which is extra income as well. It is extra income as well. So if it means if you have an extra farming output, that means you have extra income for the settlement. So, and it works with the same way as I just talked about how the merchant works. If you have the Temple of Tanit, or this is the second tier of Tanit building, correct? So if you have the at least Temple of Tanit and the higher tiers, and if the general or family member ends the turn in the settlement that where it's built, next turn he can get that trade. But the merchant had 100% chance, but for this trade you have only 10% chance. So it doesn't mean that necessarily you're gonna get it, but you have a 10% chance for that game can get triggered and give this trade to your family member. And let's jump to the followers. We see 3 followers here. They all requires at least a Temple of Tanit and buildings higher. So I'm gonna be talking about all of them separately. The first one is the agriculturalist, +1 farming output. Again, extra income, nothing else as much as I know. It's not bad. The both of them are pretty similar. It's decent. Like it never hurts to have something like this. Um, so it works exactly the same way, but instead of 10%, this follower has only 5% of chance for your general to get in the next turn. And we have a herbalist. Herbalist, it says, increases the chance of having children, improves the chances of casualties recovering from their wounds. I do find this follower quite useful and quite important, I would say, and um, increases of chances of having children is always good. I mean, I don't know if you playing some kind of role playing inside of the Rome Total War. That might be a different story, but I always like to have a lot of children so they can grow up and be generals. And general means like the decent heavy cavalry that they replenish themselves. It is very important from my point of view. Also improves the chances of casualties being recovered. So what does it mean? I have already explained it, but I'll do it once more. The game has a mechanic. I'm not so sure about the percentage, but how does it work? Let's say you deployed 100 men. Um, you went to the battlefield, and you lost, let's say, 50 of your men, and you won a battle, right? So what you've left with is 50, correct? And also the game after every battle, like 10 or 20%, I'm not so sure. It should be somewhere between 10 to 20. Certain, let's say 15%. 15% of your losses, which was you lost 50 men. So 15% of 50 men is being recovered. So which means 15% of 50 is like a 7.5, let's say, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should be 7.5. So instead of having 50 men after the battle, you having like 57 or 58 men. So that's how it works. As I said, I'm not so sure about the percentage exactly, but there's a mechanic like this. So that's why, like, when I do play with the Carthaginians, you know that they start with the elephants. So what I do, I usually try to fight with my elephants. I do try to, they're pretty decent heavy cavalry. They go, especially against the Romans or Greeks, I just keep all my army behind, send these guys to the front, and I'm trying to give them as much as casualties possible, especially trying to take the general out with the elephants. And I don't care if they die there. And if they die, I just calculate how many of them I lost. Let's say I lost the whole 30 of them. So it means at least I'm gonna have to lose 300 men so all of them can get recovered. So you do reverse math real quick, and let's say I'm just sending 2 of my town militia, just sacrificing in order to get these guys back. And let's say I have 10 units of here left and 20 units of here left. I can just easily retain them everywhere, but I can't do this, guys. So that's how it can be useful for you. And this is also the extra basically game tip that you can have. So this herbalist exact have basically conditions, but this is a little bit generous. You have 15% of chance at the end of the turn that it can grant it to your family member. And the last basically follower over here is the priestess of Tanit. As you know, every religious building has its own unique priest or a priestess. So in the Tanit is +1 management and +1 farming output. Management is very important for me. I always struggle to keep it stable or getting it increased. and farming output extra income, so it means it's a pretty decent follower. I would like to have this follower in one of my family members. And all the priests or the priestess in the game has fixed 15% of chance, exact same conditions like the rest of the traits and followers, and 15% of chance, exact same as herbalist. So that's it about the second tier. So let's jump to the 30 and see what it grants to us. Public order bonus goes up to 15%, population grow bonus goes up to 1.5%, and farmland increased farmland size plus 3. We have seen a steady increase in all stats, which is decent. There's no traits, no followers that requires to build at least a large of temple. So all the temples and followers you can get requires Temple of Tanit. So if you have a Temple of Tanit, you don't have to basically get it upgraded to the third or fourth tier just because of the followers and traits. The only bonus you're gonna get is the buildings themselves bonuses, the bonuses itself of the buildings that grant to us. And in the fourth tier, we are experiencing exact the same pace of increase on the stats: 20% of happiness bonus, 2% population grow bonus, and plus 4 farmland size, which is decent. I mean, it would be great if we could see the Pantheon over here, or at least like Pantheon's extra 1 or 2 more traits or bonuses that they grant, but we will just call it sufficient and move on. So the second basically the line of religious building on the Carthage is Shrine to Baal. So Shrine to Baal is a temple of justice. That's how it goes under the game files, and it is probably it is mine and probably most of yours favorite shrine to build with the Carthaginians. We will talk about why. So let's go ahead and see what does the first tier of Shrine to Baal building grants us. 5% public order bonus due to happiness, and 5% public order bonus due to law. So both bonuses are related to the public order. So it focused on the keeping the public order. Since it's a justice, that would make sense. We're trying to have a just environment, and also that means like more happiness, more public order. That makes sense. And we have the merchant devotion to justice, where it gives us +1 finance when trading slaves and -1 finance when not trading slaves. So devotion to justice is it requires at least to have a shrine to Baal or buildings in a higher tier, so your merchant can get this with 100% chance. Exact same way how the devotion to farming was working. Exact same thing for justice, but the stats are different, which I find these stats more useful. I remember that Julia had one. They had a devotion to leadership, +1 finance when trading slaves, -1 when not trading slaves. Also, one of the other Roman factions, I already forgot, I think it was Scipii probably, that they had the exact same trait, but under the different devotion. Why I do find it useful, because after one point, if you're following our Greek cities campaign at the same time, you will see that I already started enslaving pretty much every settlement I'm conquering. Why? Because after one point, let's say my capital is in here, I started to expand over here or here somewhere, I am getting further from my capital. The further I am, the more public order issues I'm having. Also, if the settlement has a decent population, like if they have more than like 5,000 population, they might be somehow managed. But once they are a bit more like 8, 9, 10,000, it is difficult to deal with them, and you wouldn't want to exterminate every settlement you got. I feel like extermination works only in two conditions. In the very early beginning of the game, where you need a easy cash. In the second, if the settlement that you're conquering, doesn't matter which period of the game you are, if the settlement is too highly populated, like if the settlement like 20,000, I don't think so even enslaving gonna work, especially if it's far from your capital. Let's say I'm capturing Antioch here. It's, let's say, turn 30 or 40, I don't know. I have already increase the borders of my empire towards to the east. I'm conquering the Antioch, and it has like 18,000 population. I'm gonna have to exterminate it unless I want to leave a huge amount of garrison back there. So most of the time you're gonna keep enslaving after one point, and pretty much every settlement is gonna have access for the slaves, so that would be great bonus for your merchant. And +1 finance, that's a great bonus for that settlements. So that's the only bonus the shrine to Baal grants to us in the first tier. But it's not ends there. We're jumping to Temple of Baal. Both public order bonuses goes up to 10% from 5. We've seen double increase, very similar to, very alike like to the other temples. And we have some traits and some basically not traits, some followers over here we're getting. I couldn't leave, I couldn't clean this faction here trait with the help of the console commands. I could have moved to one of the other generals, but then he would have like disinherited trait, which is fine. We're just gonna ignore it. That's nothing related to the Temple of Baal. So let's talk about the followers. Let's talk about the ancillaries. We are getting basically let me just double check. So we are getting this judge follower over here, which judge follower gives us 20% discount on agent training costs, +1 unrest, which is declared as a public order, and +2 law improves the public order. So it is a very, I would say, different follower. So 20% discount on agent training costs, not bad. I mean, not something super important, because after one point, if you're playing right, you will never have a money issues. So I would say after like 10-15 turns, you'll just always have extra money at the end of the turn. So 20% won't grant you huge bonus. +1 on the rest, decrease the public order. That's not something you would like to see. Public order is one of the important, most important mechanics about the city governing. So that is kind of anti-buff, I would say, like a negative buff, but it tries to cover itself with +2 law, improves the public order. So it makes sense. I mean, this is a temple of justice, right? The temple of Baal is a temple of justice. So you bringing justice, it means you're bringing law, which is improves the public order, but also people can be a little bit less happy because it is kind of regulation, you know. So I can see what the developers try to make here, but overall I would say it is positive follower, because you get +1 public order after this calculation, and the 20% of agent training cost, which is not bad. So these two bonuses is I would say acceptable, and this guy has a specific condition for your general to be able to obtain this trait. So how does it work? Then you have to have at least Temple of Baal and buildings in a higher tier, and your family member or general should end the turn in the settlement where this building built, right? Until here is clear. This judge has 20% chance for your general to get at the end of the turn, but there's extra condition where at the end of the turn, once you click to the end of the turn, your settlement should be rioting. If your settlement doesn't riot, doesn't matter how many turns you're gonna keep your family member here, he won't be able to get it. So your settlement should have to be rioting. Also, it has 20% of chance to get it. So I would say if you're gonna try to basically get this state, like artificially try to increase the taxes very high, like destroy all the public order buildings and stuff, just be mindful that if your settlement goes to rioting 3 consecutive turns, you will lose the settlement to rebels. So I don't think so. That's kind of follower that I would do that much effort for being able to get it, but just an information, it never hurts. If you do plan to get this follower in some point, you can go for it. And another one is Priest of Baal, where 20% discount on agent training costs. Again, the same thing, not super important. Plus one low improves the public order. Very similar stats overall. So pretty much I would say the same thing overall. Not bad. Is it decent? I would say probably the guy over here, like the priestess over here, is looks better for me, but Priest of Baal is not a bad neither. Also, it is much easier to get this trait than judge. You don't have to be rioting or nothing. Just let your family members stay in the settlement where Temple of Baal or higher tiers built, and he will have 15% of chance at the end of each turn for him to be able to obtain that trait. So folks, there's two basically actually traits that I actually missed to put over here. So just in front of you, I will do real quick. I don't want to miss them, or I don't want to cut the video for it. So the one of them is just. That's how it goes under the game files. And second one is the harsh justice. So we're gonna see what kind of traits are they. Looks like I didn't see one. Maybe they are not basically letting to have both of them at the same time. I'm gonna double check to that. So probably harsh justice, maybe then the one that we are not being able to see. Correct? Let me see. So yeah, for some reason I've not been able to see the harsh justice here. So let's I'm just gonna give a quick basically cut over here. I'm gonna just do a real quick search why they're not going together, so I can get you more information about that. I will probably be looking at to the justice. Actually, I'm not gonna do any cut. I'll just keep moving from here, to be honest, and maybe I can try to on these guys. Let's see. Let's try with Hano. I wanna see why they don't go together. That's my bad. I should have did that before. I mean, it's just somehow I missed it. So he's getting Punisher. I bought this guy from the Scipios, Quintus Scipio. So just one. Alright, yeah, so that was my bad. So this is over here is one of the traits that you've been able to get with the Temple of Baal and tiers higher. Punisher, the one with the harsh justice, that's how it goes under the game files. Harsh justice 1. It goes like a Punisher. +1 unrest has a negative effect that we've already talked. +2 low. Exact same way like the judge works, except the discount on the agent training. Not bad. I would take it. You benefiting +1 public order. It is not bad. So this is the one trait, and the second trait over here is I just added to this guy is the even-handed, +1 low. It is exact same like this guy over here. He have 1 minus 2 positive. This guy has only just 1 positive. So again, public order, I would like to have that too. So probably these two traits can't be in the same family member, because they're probably kind of opposite traits to each other. You can't be probably just and a harsh person at the same time. That's what I'm thinking probably is being coded in the game. But the both works the same way. The both has 10% of chance at the end of the turn for your family member to get it if the Temple of Baal or higher tier is built. So let's jump to the third tier. I'm sorry again for not doing that before the video preparation. I just didn't want to do a lot of mess on the video. So let's keep moving. Large Temple of Baal, both bonuses goes up to 15, where in the awesome Temple of Baal, both bonuses goes up to 20. So you remember when I said that that's mine and probably most of yours favorite, just because of these guys. Sacred Band. So once you reached and built the awesome Temple of Baal, you've been able to train to recruit Sacred Band units, which is, I would say, the best Carthaginian unit in the foot unit in the game. They have very high morale, very high defense, armor and defense skills, very decent melee attack. I'm not so sure what is this alternative attack. I'm guessing that's the small sword of theirs. Once the enemy is too close, instead of using their basically phalanx spears, they are using their swords. That's what I'm thinking it is for here. So they are very strong units. One of the downsides about them, they are a bit of expensive per turn, I would say, and they are unfortunately getting recruited in 2 turns. So just for getting 1 unit, you have to wait 2 turns. But I would say it's worth it if you have a chance. Like, it's like a Spartan hoplites in Greek cities. So if you have a chance, of course, I think Spartan hoplites has a little bit better stats overall, but these guys should have more defense anyways. So it is a very decent unit, and in the end game, I would say mid to end game, once you have an access for the awesome Temple of Baal, and that guys can be the main core of your army. So I would say this is a pretty decent unit. But about the trades and followers, none of these buildings over here requires to be built for any trades or followers. Once you build the Temple of Baal, everything already can be granted to you if the all requirements are met. So the last one on Carthaginian list is Melgurt. Shrine to Melgurt is the first tier of building, which is Melgurt is a temple of trade. That's how it goes under the game files. If you remember, once we did the video about the Brutii temples, the Brutii has exact same temple too. They had a temple of trade, but there basically the name of their god or goddess, I would say, it was Mercury. So in Carthaginians is a Melgurt, but they both believe to the same thing under different names. And we will just see what kind of bonuses it gets to us. 5% public order bonus due to happiness and 10% income bonus. So public order bonus is a decent rate that's you need. That's why you build the this kind of buildings for. 10% income bonus is not bad. I don't think trade bonus is something very important. I don't think so. I'm having money issues in some point. If it would be like a bigger percentage, like maybe 25%, 30%, that would be maybe worthy, but not in 10%, I would say. In general, as a history-wise too, Carthaginians were always, even before the Punic Wars and stuff, Carthaginians always were famous for their trade abilities, their trading skills, and basically having a lot of merchants in pretty much every point of the world. So that makes sense that this guys has access for the Temple of Trade. I would say that makes more sense than Brutii. So yeah, in the first year, let's see, there's some interesting facts about this trade of temple over here. So let's jump and see the merchant first. So natural born merchant and the district abacus, we just gonna ignore them. Nothing related to Shrine to Melgurt. That's how this guy come with. So the first thing we're getting is a financial training, +1 finance. So we've already seen a lot of devotions in Carthaginian. We saw today with the Romans, you've seen a lot. The same thing with the Mercury on the Brutii. This guy doesn't have any devotion. Since this is the Temple of Trade and these guys are traders like merchants, they have, instead of devotion, they have financial training, which it doesn't take any finance point from anything, and it doesn't give +1 finance for something specific. It just says, guys, have +1 finance on everything you trade, which is huge. I would say it is much better than all the devotions. It doesn't give you basically specific conditions. You can have +1 finance in everywhere. A plus finance means like how strong is your merchant is, and how better trades he can get. Also, how successful can he be with the other factions merchant buyouts. So +1 finance is great, but the conditions is little different. So what we said for other devotions you have to have shrine to certain building, built, let's say, shrine to oh, where was it, shrine to, for example, Baal, the first tier being built, and your merchant has to end the turn in the settlement, and next turn he's gonna have 100% chance to be able to get the specific devotion to which temple he's sitting on, right? But this one is a bit different. So you have to have at least first tier of shrine to Mulgut or buildings above. That doesn't change, that is the same. But the different part is your merchant shouldn't sit on the settlement and end the turn if once you build this building. Your merchant should be recruited after you finish shrine to Mulgut building, which is finished in one turn. Let's say you finish the building, and the next turn you can recruit the merchant, and with 100% chance he will come with this financial training. So if you already have recruited merchant, doesn't matter how many turns you're gonna sit him in a settlement where the shrine to Mulgut or the buildings above is built, he will not get financial training at all. So he has to be recruited freshly after you finish the building to shrine to Mulgut. I hope I could have been clear enough. So that is the first thing basically shrine to Mulgut requires. Basically that's the first trait requires the shrine to Mulgut. Let's say that's more correct. Let's check the traits. You're gonna see a lot of traits and a lot of followers surprisingly comes with the shrine to temple. I was always building the Baal. I never knew until I started this basically series that another temples also grants a lot of decent bonuses. So let's see. We're not gonna see look at any of the other traits or followers. Only thing we're looking at is a wise man. So for getting a wise man, you have to have shrine to Mulgut at least, and the buildings above. For being able to get this guy for your family member, it gives us +1 management. It is great. I always like to see positive management bonuses. So it is the decent trait for me, decent follower to me, I'm sorry, decent ancillary for me. But it is very difficult to get this guy. If you ask why, because you have to have shrine to Mulgut in your settlement build, which is super easy, and your general family member should end the turn. That is easy as well, but he only has 4% chance each time you click to the end turn for getting this guy. But the conditions are not ending there. 4% plus your settlement, basically the government building should be at the governance villa or lower tier. So it means your settlement should have to be town or a large town. Once you already upgraded to the governor palace, forget about getting that trade at all. So it is very difficult to get, and also very situational, I would say, follower, but it is very decent bonus that he grants to us. So that's it about the first tier of the Mulgut building. Let's jump to the second tier. Public order bonus goes up to 10, trade income bonus goes to 20. We see double increase, and that's where we see a lot of basically traits and followers requires at least Temple of Mulgut and the buildings above, and let's take a look at them. The first trait is a trader, and in the game files it goes under good trader 1. A lot of traits and the followers you're gonna see shares the exact same followers and traits with the Brutii, with the Mercury Temple, because they both trade and basically temples, and they are sharing a lot mutually basically. There should be some little differences between them. So the trader 10% bonus on all trade income, which is positive trade on all trade income. Trade income is not something big in my opinion. I mean, anything about related to money is in one point is not being important, because you being easily over like 20-30k after end of each turn. So the second trade over here we're seeing, by the way, I forgot to mention that the trader trade has 10% of chance at the end of each turn for your general to be able to obtain it. So frugal, in the game files it goes at cheapskate 1, 5% discount on construction, 5% bonus tax income, +1 squalor, which is decrease the population grow bonus, and the public order. It is not something I would be interested, and I would be happy if I would see my general got one, because both bonuses about money. I don't consider them very, I would say, advantageous. But negative effect is about the populational growth, but more than that is a public order. So there is no way this guy is worth the trade. So I do see that as anti-trade. Luckily we have only 8% chance at the end of each turn for our family member or general to be able to get this guy. So there's third trait we see here is financially irregular, -1 management. Again, not something I would like to see. It is anyways difficult to keep the management stable and grow it up. So -1 management, it just hurts me a lot. But we are lucky here again. We have only 3% of unlucky chance for getting this trait at the end of the turn. And that is it about the traits on the requires Temple of Melgut and buildings above. Let's take a look to the followers. We already talked about the wise man. I'll skip it. We have next in the line is a freeman clerk, +1 management, 10% bonus on all trade income. So management is huge. Trade bonus is good but not huge. So overall is a nice follower to have. So I would like to have that trade. And luckily we have 15% of chance to be able to get this. But there's also another condition. If you want to get the freeman clerk, there's another condition you have to meet. In your settlement, you have to build at least academy and tiers above, like scriptorium or ludus magna. So, but at least you have to have an academy. So if you have an academy built, also if you have a second tier Melgut temple built on your settlement, and if your governor or family member ends the turn in that settlement, each turn he has 15% of chance for being able to get this freeman clerk. And it is a little difficult, but I would say it is good trade. I wouldn't basically work hard for it, but if it comes, that's great. And since the followers is movable, that is great way to basically build one or two settlements, maybe at least one or two settlements. That way it can be, you feel like, okay, that settlement is safe, no one gonna attack to that settlement. For example, Palma. Usually, rarely somebody deploys here. Sometimes Spanish, but the way I'm playing, they never have a chance to come and deploy their armies here. Sometimes Roman Juliais, but again, I'm not letting them a chance. So you can build a temple of Melgut here and get it increased, and you can leave if you have a couple extra spare generals. Leave them in that settlement. Let them have like freeman clerk, and you can just move it to any other general or family member through in your empire, so they can keep basically pumping this good followers for you. Another one on the list is the idiot savant, or I don't know how it's pronounced, to be honest, correctly. Exact same thing. Instead of trade income, has 10% of bonus tax income. It really depends on settlement to settlement. Some settlements you have bigger trade bonus, sometimes you have bigger tax bonus. I don't care about those. +1 management, that's what I'm looking for. So the boat is good. This guy works the exact same way. with 5% of chance instead of 15 with the Freeman Clerk, so more difficult to get this guy. Also, instead of academy requirement, and that's what Freeman Clerk was requiring, the Idian Savant requires Governor's Palace or higher buildings. So you can't obtain that follower if your settlement is a town or a large town. Have to be a minor city at least, or bigger, so you can get that follower. And the last thing that requires at least a temple of Melgert is priest of Melgert. Like with the other priests or priestesses, 15% of chance without any other condition, +1 management and 10% bonus on all trade income. Management again, something nice to see. Trade income is not super huge, but never hurts to have. So that is it about the second tier. So let's jump to the third tier building. Our bonus goes up to 15% from 10, and income bonus goes up to 30% from 20. And there's one actually there's two, one trait and one follower that requires to build at least large temple of Melgert. So if you have the second tier, you won't be able to get those. Large temple of Melgert and above. So the first thing we're gonna be looking at is the merchant trait. Divine inspiration, we talked about this. Now let's talk about divine inspiration. Again, +1 finance on everything. It is pretty good, pretty decent buff, I would say, pretty decent trait. And what it requires, so it also has 100% chance. It works the exact same way like the financial training. You can't use the existing merchant after building the Lodge of Melgert in the settlement to wait for getting these. You have to recruit an agent after building a large temple of Melgert. So let's say if you have a large temple of Melgert and you finished building it, you waited 3 turns and it's been built, then you recruit a merchant in that settlement. You're gonna have financial training and a divine inspiration. You're gonna have both of them, which means you already starting with +2 finance. Like in this guy's case, he's 24 years old. He's started, sometimes this natural born merchant piece like +2, sometimes +3, sometimes +1, but at least you have like +2 from here already. So it's a good start for your merchant. And another great thing about this divine inspiration, I talked about it with Brutii Mercury Temple as well, but I didn't know this fact, which I'm just gonna share with you. This divine inspiration, it is a faction-wise effect. So what does it mean? Once you build large temple of Melgert in any of your settlements, like let's say just one. So let's say I built only in Tapsus. Any other settlement that you're gonna recruit the merchants is gonna start with this divine inspiration. So it is like a faction effect. I didn't mention that in the Brutii temple. They works the exact same way, but in the meantime I didn't know. But that's how it works actually, and that's the only trait in the game, as far as I know, that works the faction wise. Basically, it's a faction effect. So that's why, for example, I built, for example, where is that? I built Temple of Baal over here, but this guy has a divine inspiration too, because I recruited all these merchants after building this guy over here. So that's why all my merchants in every settlement, they have divine inspiration, even they don't have an access to Temple of Melgert here. He has, and I built Tanit here, I built Baal here, but they all have. So which is huge. I mean, just having, so it means, in my opinion, which I was not doing that. If you've seen my Greek cities videos, I usually choose one religious building, like one religious branch, which I'm thinking that's the most powerful or most suitable for my gameplay, and I don't bother myself to keep building different temples in each settlement, which maybe that's what I should do. Probably that makes more sense. But I just, when I play Carthaginians, I play Temple of Baal in every single settlement. So this effect makes me think I have to have at least one Temple of Melgut in somewhere in my empire, in one of my settlements. So all my merchants, even let's say I have Temple of Melgut here, and I'm recruiting a merchant somewhere here, so he can at least start with +1 finance, which is huge, which is great. That's the one trait that requires at least a large Temple of Melgut and above. And let's jump to the we have another follower here. I mean, let me see. I should have another follower here. Probably I got it to somewhere else. Let me just double check. Alright, I'll just add it over here. I think I missed that as well. So it is called Numismatist. And let's see, should we get that now? Yeah, here. We got it now. So Numismatist. I don't know how I missed. I remember that I added this ancillary to my family member. So it requires at least a large temple of Melgut, or the 5th tier, the 4th tier, but you have to have at least a 3rd tier building. So what it gives to us, 10% of bonus on all trade income. It's not a huge bonus. I mean, I wouldn't build the large temple of Melgut just for that. Probably I wouldn't even care for this follower. I would build for its own bonuses. But you have 15% chance at the end of each turn for your general family member to be able to obtain this trade. Plus there's another condition. You have to have great let me see, where's the trading buildings. I'm just trying to see where's the, it says great form or higher. Probably we're talking about this building over here. Let me just double check. Yep, so you have to have at least bazaar, like in the 3rd tier of merchant building or above, for being able to get the numismatist. And I mean, it is not something that I would just try to get it. If it would be like +2 management or something else, I would say wow, like I can at least try to build that building and try to get this guy, because even you build the 3-level bazaar, you still don't have 100% chance. You have only 15% chance for being able to get this guy. So that's only two, I would say, bonuses, like trade and the follower, that requires the large temple of Melgut. Let's jump to the last tier, awesome temple of Melgut. 20 bonus public order, 40% trade income bonus, steady increase, and we have pretty decent traits that comes with this awesome temple of Melgut. We didn't see the same thing in the other two, but the awesome temple requires a lot. Grants a lot, I'm sorry. So the one of them is, let's just take a look over here. So yep, I have two of them over here in the faction leader. If you will ask why, these two guys, if you ask why, because these two guys are not, you can't have these two traits at the same time with this frugal trait, so they are kind of blocking each other. So I just added these traits for my faction leader, which is one is lover of beauty. In the game files it goes under aesthetic 1, so it has 5% of chance for your faction basically member to be able to get it at the end of each turn if they are sitting on a settlement where you have awesome temple of Melgut build. And it gives us +1 influence, -1 command. Influence is good. I do like to have an influence because the influence is affects to your family members bodyguard size. It affects to the negotiations you're dealing with enemy diplomats and stuff. So influence is good. I would like to see influence. Command can't say the same thing. It is important if you auto-resolving your battles, which I do that rarely. I usually do fight the battles and I do command the battles. So in the battlefields, the command doesn't matter a lot. So I don't care about the -1 command. I would take the +1 influence, even there's -2 command. So I wouldn't. I would still call it as a good trait, at least from my point of view. So we just say that has a 5% of chance, and we have another 5% of chance, mildly extravagant, which is in the game files. It goes under expensive tastes 1. This is one of the traits that I hate. I think I have already mentioned it with the Brutii video, because after one point, if your treasury is in a certain limit, let's say if you have 50,000 denarii or more in your settlement at the end of each turn, with slight chances you're getting that. Also, once you build the awesome Temple of Melgoth, you still have 5% of chance to get the -1 management. This goes up mildly extravagant, extravagant, and wildly extravagant, -1, 2, 3 management points, and that's why it's one of the nightmares of mine that I can't keep the management up, because I'm always having extra money and I don't know what to do with those. So sooner or later I'm starting getting those, which is I don't like it. So let's jump to the other traits. There's another trait over here, is in the game files, is a Epicurean 1. It is gourmet of life. 5% trade income, 10% decrease cost to bribe. I mean, it is a trait just for being exist, you know. I mean, this is neither good nor bad bonus. I don't want to talk about the cost to bribe, because even somebody bribes your faction leader or general, that money is not coming to your budget, so it doesn't affect me. It is being more easily basically bribable, but I mean, trade income and stuff, it is a neutral for me. I'm not suffering from being bribed a lot. My settlements suffers more than the family members, so I wouldn't care for it too much. And it has 5% of chance as well at the end of each turn. And we have here, like say, Flutter, which is under the game files. It goes under Gambling 1. 5% penalty on all trade income and 10% decrease to cost to bribe. Is like a same thing on the right side. This side is more negative, so not something you would like to have. Even if you will have, it's not a huge loss. That's what I would say. You just had a 5% penalty on all trade income, which is not too big. That's the big trait that I'm looking at. Casual adulterer. In the game files, you have, it's called Girls 1. +2 morale for all troops on the battlefield. So we have 3% of chance for both of them. I'm sorry guys, I'm just gonna sip of water. Alrighty, yeah, I do apologize. It almost made me tear up because probably I've been talking too long already, non-stop. But I'm wrapping up slowly. So both of them has 3% of chance, and Casual Adulterer gives us +2 morale for all troops on the battlefield. In my opinion, is huge. As I said, I'm usually fighting the battles manually and having a morale. I don't play in the arcade mode on, so having extra 2 morale is huge. I do usually suffer with the morale. Morale suffers me with the low morale units. Like for example, this guy has only 2 morale. They are easily breakable. +2 means they have 4 now. So it is definitely very strong trait. I would love to have it on my general, especially who is going to the fights, not governing the cities. So that is great. And they both have unfortunately 3% of chance, at least this one unfortunately, this one I would say fortunately. So that's the traits that all traits requires awesome temple of Melgut. Let's take a look to the follower. There's only one procurator that requires awesome temple of Melgut at least, which is the last tier. So you can't get this follower in any cost if you haven't reached to the last tier of awesome building of Melgut. But what it gives to us, just 10% of bonus on tax income. I mean, not a good bonus in my opinion, but it has at least 20% of chance at the end of each turn to be able to get that trait. So, and with that, all the Carthaginian temples are done. I tried to cover as much as possible. It came up a little longer than the other videos on the series. I hope I could have basically share some useful information with you. Probably I will be using the Temple of Melgut in at least somewhere in my empire after this. At least I'm gonna build one of them. And as I said, with the Numidians, they should have exact same traits and followers. I will just take a look. If I will see anything that unique to them in the maybe beginning of next episode, I can just mention that they have this difference than the Carthaginians, so we can be mindful. But I'm not thinking, I don't think that they do have, but if they do, I'll just let you know. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all could get something useful from it. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can share your thoughts with me in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate it. And for the next week, I will decide that which faction or which culture it will be the next week. I don't want to say the Greek culture again. I just want to see. I have to look for it first, and as you know, when I do record this series, I have to go to read the game files and stuff, do a little bit research. So I will find another interesting faction for the next week, and I will be doing the temple guide for them, and I will be seeing you in other episodes and in other videos. All right, see you all.